I'd also like to thank the British Council, number one, for inviting me here, but number two, for giving me a job. How many of you can swim? How many of you were taught to swim by a fish? Just because somebody can do something is no indication that they'd be able to teach it. One of the things I often use when talking about teaching is an amazing statistic, which is that 94% of people in any class, at any level, at any age, studying anything, anywhere in the world, 94% do not want to be there. Often including the teacher. That statistic is based on my idea, really. And I can't actually back that up, but I think it's probably true. And I like using that statistic, and it's not true in any definable way. So I'm saying 94%, and I've said it now, so it's true. One of the things I think about learning English that comes in a sense, is like every other class, nobody wants to be here. Where would you rather be now? Where would you rather be?
Well, the thing is that I really like being here.
It's a good answer, and I thank you. Nobody wants to be here. She wants to be here. All right, fair enough. Go on, where would you rather be?
I want to be in a shopping mall.
Good choice, good choice. And I think when we train teachers and when we look at teaching, we never really fully address this fact. And teachers often are people who loved school and who loved the opportunities that education provided, and they loved university, and they loved teacher training. And then they're confronted with 35 people who don't love it. Why are we learning English? Why are we teaching English? Why have any of us got jobs? Washington is the modern Rome. And as a result, everybody has to speak Latin. When I first went to the United States, I thought, I don't want to live somewhere where people speak English. I want to learn languages, and I want to be somewhere and I could learn. And I went to America, as in the United States, the northern bit, and I went there and I thought, actually, this is amazing, because actually, on every street corner, everybody speaks about 15 languages all the time. It's not a language that belongs to any culture. It's not a language that belongs to any country. It's not a language that represents anybody specifically now, does it? All of our students are not necessarily going to be talking to people in Cambridge, in Oxford, in London. They're probably going to be talking to people in Sao Paulo or in Vladivostok. How many of you got a mobile phone, ladies and gents? Can you hold your phone up? How many of you went to a session by a brilliant teacher called Jake Russell just before this? Do you remember, go on. Do you remember a thing about Shakespeare and the mobile phone? Yes, come on.
And well, he told us an idea of an activity where we can ask our students to write a story using emojis. And one of the stories he gave us the idea to was Romeo and Juliet from Shakespeare.
One of you is Romeo, one of you is Juliet. You have 12 messages. 2 brave volunteers, Indira, Amirna.
Romeo, I miss you. My father won't let me see you. Heart emojis.
Juliet, my love, do not fret. I will find a way. Emoji praying and sending kisses. Look out the window, and the window is an emoji.
If I can't be with you, I'll kill myself.
No! Crying emojis. Many, many, many crying emojis.
And this is a very simple exercise, and it's a throwaway, but it's also a nice way to do a synopsis. It's a nice way to validate the language that the students use. And it's a nice way to get them to do something they do on a daily basis all the time, and do it for some practical purpose. The other thing with the telephone, because we spend a lot of time in class saying, put your telephone away, put your telephone away, don't play with your phone, turn your telephone off. With my mother, I will text her and I'll say, code blue. And she'll ring me and the code blue, so my phone rings and I'll give it to a student. And the student goes, and I'm going, right, yeah, I can't do Wednesday, I need their email address, and can they come at 7:30? And the student's going, ugh, and they've suddenly got to have this conversation with an actual person, and it's not me. It does not matter how many pieces of paper you have, how many diplomas, how many exams, how many certificates. Doesn't matter. If you can't answer the phone, doesn't matter that you've got a certificate that says that you speak the language. If you cannot answer the phone, what's the point of that? 2 questions for you. Number 1, did you learn to swim from a fish? Number 2, when we had a break then, hands up if you had a coffee. Hands up if you had a tea. Some of us like coffee. Not all of our students like coffee, and they are not wrong. Just because I like coffee is no indication that my students will all like coffee, will all like tea. And I always think whatever we do in the classroom is not going to be for everybody all of the time. And that's all right. And that doesn't matter. You know, all we can do really is try to give a little bit of tea, and a little bit of coffee, and a little bit of cigarette, and a little bit of phone call, and a little bit of selfie, and a little bit of different things to make sure that everybody gets something from that class. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gents. I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference. Thank you.